Back in June of this year, I received this note. Jim, I agree with much of what you write, but you propose that we end this nightmare of national criminality before it's too late, and I agree with that. Also, however, precisely how does one go about that? The American people have lost any semblance of control over what now passes as their government. Many are in opposition to its policies, but how do you propose to stop it? Please enlighten me. Thanks, John. Here is the reply. John, each of us has a mind of our own. We have brains that are extremely capable of creative thought, and most of us have a mouth that can pronounce the words, no, never, not in this lifetime, and lots of other phrases that express extreme displeasure with whatever is being dictated to us. We are opposed by mechanistic flesh and blood robots that are just cogs in the materialistic war machine that has set its sights upon everything that is human in this life. The second part of this problem is how each of us can begin to change the way our lives are ruled, simply by failing to cooperate with the system at every level in the society. Whenever any government agency says you're required to do this, each of us is, in theory, capable of saying no. Or if direct confrontation is not feasible, the individual can no doubt find ways to undermine the system in a myriad of other ways, which, with the accretions of time, will amount to planting monkey wrenches or time bombs throughout the system of dictatorship. From jury duty to active disinterest in the propaganda that is spewed forth hourly, signs of outright rejection need to begin to appear in unexpected places. Make a stamp with the word "Why," or use the shorthand version "Why," and put this on every single one of those signs that seek to create terror or paranoia in the public's mind. You need not tell anyone about this, just do it, quietly and preferably without notice of any kind. When you see an opportunity, use it and move on. Formal organizing to accomplish this amounts to a giant waste of time and effort, because it will be penetrated and perverted from the start. Write letters that can motivate others to question, as in question everything, and perhaps most of all engage strangers in conversations that can lead others in new directions toward those things that will give them some relief for their own frustrations within the nightmare. This is most easily accomplished by asking simple questions such as, what have they accomplished? Or, what happened to the $13 trillion they already took from us to fix all these banking problems that are still out there? Do you know that all those toxic mortgages have still not been removed from the bank's books, even after they stole all the money supposedly for that very purpose? Or you might want to question why they threatened to shut down the government back in September of '08, which resulted in 5 separate trips to the Fed and the Treasury, which gained the $13 trillion for them, but left us with no credit relief, no possibility for a turnaround in the economy, and an increase of job losses, bankruptcies, and major increases in the power of the fascist state to continue to dictate terms, unchallenged at any level by either the courts or the Congress that are both there to supposedly protect us all. Dissent comes in many forms and is virtually unlimited when you factor in the diversity of approaches and interpretations that exist among the general population. Once any people remember who they are, or who they thought they were, before they became mindless members of the all-too-evident public herd that is actually allowing all these things to continue without objection, then virtually anything is possible. My job as a person is to remind people of the things that are too often overlooked when one knows anything about history or current events in any useful detail. I'm just one flawed guy with opinions and questions that need answers. If you multiply me by the number of others that feel the same way, then we outnumber them 10,000 times over, and yet we seem to choose inaction over risk at every opportunity. Nothing in this life is certain except change, which is ever present. By clinging to the unrelenting rocks of the Middle Ages and to the outmoded mindset that is both fostered and expanded on by war, and lots more war, we are locking ourselves into a mindset that will take us back to the cave or to oblivion, with only death to look forward to. If we have indeed progressed to that supposedly higher life form of human being over the animal limbic system within us, then where's the proof of that? Currently, our troops and mercenaries are committing mass murder and proclaiming that to be necessary for the defense of the national security of the United States, which assumes the corollary to be true, that everyone we kill is an enemy of this nation. That's bullshit, and everyone with a brain has to know that. This was one of the reasons that the Secretary of Defense changed his title recently to the Secretary of War. Because the semantics of this implies that because his department deals with war, not defense, they're allowed to be far more aggressive than ever before, except that if we are at war, constitutionally, the Congress must debate the issues and vote on it, which has not happened. That's why they gave away their constitutional duty to the executive to escape responsibility for their actions, or in this case, their failure to perform in the face of the enemy, which is and always was since 9/11 among the same people in the government that now want to protect themselves from facing war crimes trials in the international courts. For the moment, they have escaped the literal trials themselves, but in the court of the public opinion, they've been found to be overwhelmingly guilty on all charges and then some. Just think about it, John. What anyone can do is not only necessary but completely possible, but only if you really want your freedom back. The above was my answer then to one person. Today, the same traitors in the Congress that have brought on all these debts and are currently leading the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world now want to create a super Congress. This criminal body will be composed of just 12 individuals that will bypass the constitutionally mandated 535 members of Congress in order to give themselves cover to do what Congress was never authorized to do, which is to bypass the public entirely. The purpose today in this soon-to-be enacted escape from the Constitution was designed to end the Second Amendment to the Constitution so that they can end the public's right to own or bear arms. Washington. In order to shore up GOP support for a deal to raise the debt ceiling, Senate Democrats are exploring ways of giving the proposed Super Congress even greater superpowers, according to multiple news reports and congressional aides with knowledge of the plan. Under the new approval, if the new legislative body, made up of 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans from both chambers, doesn't come up with a bill that cuts at least $1.5 trillion by Thanksgiving, entitlement programs will be automatically slashed. Under the reported framework, legislation, the new congressional committee writes, would be fast-tracked through Congress and could not be filibustered or amended. The parties have been negotiating the particulars of cuts that would be enacted if budget-cutting legislation coming out of the Super Congress could not get passed. Decidedly roughly how much in cuts would come from different parts of the federal budget, including defense spending and entitlement programs like Medicare. According to sources and a number of reports, the parties were settled on an equal split between cuts to the defense budget and trims to Medicare providers, which in theory would spare Medicare beneficiaries. Last weekend, HuffPost reported on the extraordinary powers being delegated to the emerging Super Congress, but most Beltway media has largely dismissed the group as just another Washington commission. On Sunday, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and his counterpart Majority Leader Harry Reid sought to disabuse everyone of that notion. The Joint Committee, there are no constraints, Reid said on the Senate floor. They can look at any program we have in government, any program. It has the ability to look at everything. This is completely illegal and is being brought to us by US Inc., the inheritor of the failed USA. Fight this creeping cancer with everything you can think of, and do it before this criminally conceived parasite corporation is able to pull off this last step in ending our way of life.